The great secret, and it's hiding in plain sight, is that success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Let me say that again because it's worth repeating. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Now, wouldn't that be a fantastic philosophy to teach your children? Don't chase success, become a person of value, and watch as success chases you. That's the secret. The foundation of personal development. Most people have it all wrong. They're running around trying to change everything except themselves. They want to change their job, their income, their marriage, their neighborhood. But here's the truth. If you want to improve your circumstances, you must first improve yourself. I remember a gentleman coming up to me after a seminar complaining about his income. He said, "Jim, I need more money, but my company just won't pay me what I'm worth." I asked him, "How much are you currently worth?" He didn't have an answer. You see, the marketplace pays for value, and unfortunately, it's ruthlessly fair. It doesn't pay for need, it pays for skill, for contribution, for results. So I told him what I'm telling you now. If you want more money, don't ask for a raise. Ask yourself how you can become more valuable. If you want to be worth more, you must become more. That's what personal development is all about. It's about becoming more so that you can attract more. It's not magic, it's mathematics. It's not hope, it's strategy. The miracle of self-investment. Now let me ask you something. If you worked as hard on yourself as you do on your job, what would happen to your income? I can tell you with certainty it would multiply. Why? Because your income is directly proportional to your value in the marketplace. When I was a young man, one of my mentors asked me a question that changed my life forever. He said, "Jim, how many books have you read in the last 90 days? And I had to answer honestly, none. Not a single book in 3 months. And he just looked at me and said something I'll never forget. If you don't design your own education, someone else will design it for you, and it might not be in your best interest." That hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized I was letting life happen to me rather than taking control of my own development. So I made a decision that day to invest in myself, to become a student of life and success. I started reading books, not just one or two, but dozens, then hundreds: philosophy, psychology, economics, history, biographies of successful people. I attended seminars and workshops. I found mentors who could teach me what I needed to know. And something miraculous happened as I grew. My opportunities grew. As I developed, my success developed. You see, here's the truth about self-investment. It compounds over time just like money in the bank. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every relationship you cultivate, they all add up, creating a reservoir of value that the world will eventually pay for. The law of attraction in action. Now, I'm not talking about some mystical law of attraction where you just think positive thoughts and wealth falls from the sky. I'm talking about the real law of attraction. You attract what you are, not what you want. If you want to have more, you must become more. If you want better relationships, become a better person. If you want more respect, become more respectable. It's that simple and that profound. Let me tell you a story about two salespeople I once knew. Both started at the same company with the same products, the same training, and the same territory. 5 years later, one was making $50,000 a year, and the other was making $250,000 a year. What was the difference? One worked harder on himself than he did on his job. He read more books, attended more seminars, listened to more educational programs in his car. He invested in himself, and the marketplace rewarded him accordingly. You see, your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development. Income seldom exceeds personal development. That's why working on yourself first is so crucial. Discipline, the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Now, this journey of personal development requires something that many people aren't willing to give: discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Most of us know what to do. The problem isn't knowledge, it's execution. We know we should read more books, exercise regularly, eat healthier, save money, invest in our relationships. But knowing isn't doing. And that's where discipline comes in. Discipline isn't something you're born with, it's something you build like a muscle. It starts with small commitments and gradually expands to transform your entire life. It's making the hard choice today for a better tomorrow. I often tell people there are two pains in life, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. The difference is that discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons. Which one would you rather carry? The beauty of discipline is that it compounds over time. At first, the results are hardly noticeable, but over time, they become undeniable. It's like planting a tree. You don't see growth day by day, but eventually you look up and realize you've created something magnificent. This is why successful people do what unsuccessful people are unwilling to do, not because they like it, but because they understand the price of success and they're willing to pay it in advance. The power of association. Another crucial element of working on yourself is understanding the power of association. Who you spend time with is who you become. It's one of the most important decisions in your life. I teach my students to carefully choose the 5 people they spend the most time with, because they will determine 95% of their success or failure in life. Your income, your habits, your language, your attitudes, even your dreams, they're all influenced by the people you associate with. If you want to be successful, associate with successful people. If you want to think bigger, associate with people who think bigger than you. If you want to be more disciplined, associate with disciplined people. And here's something important. Association isn't just about who you hang around with physically. It's also about whose words you listen to, whose books you read, whose philosophy you adopt. In today's world, you can associate with the greatest minds in history through books and recordings. What an opportunity. I remember when I first started studying success, I didn't have successful people in my immediate circle. So I built my circle through books. I associated with Jim Rohn through my own books and recordings. I spent time with Benjamin Franklin, with Winston Churchill, with Abraham Lincoln, not physically, of course, but through their written words. And they became my mentors, shaping my thinking in profound ways. Mastering the art of goal setting. As you work on yourself, you must become skilled in the art of goal setting. Goals are the targets that convert dreams into reality. Without them, development lacks direction. Most people don't set goals because they fear failure. But here's the truth, the pain of not reaching your potential is far greater than the pain of falling short on a specific goal. Here's how I teach goal setting. First, decide what you want, be specific. Second, write it down. Something magical happens when you put pen to paper. Third, set a deadline. Goals without deadlines are just wishes. Fourth, develop a plan, break it down into manageable steps. Fifth, take action immediately. Momentum is crucial. And sixth, do something every day that moves you toward your goal. Consistency trumps intensity. And remember this, the value of setting a goal isn't just what you get by achieving it, it's what you become in the process. The greatest benefit of goals isn't having them, it's becoming the person who can achieve them. I set my first serious goals when I was 25 years old. At the time, I was broke, discouraged, and unsure of my future. But I wrote down what I wanted to accomplish in the next year, 5 years, 10 years. Most of those goals seemed impossible at the time, but writing them down changed something in me. It gave me direction, purpose, and most importantly, a reason to work on myself. Within a year, my income had doubled. Within 3 years, I was financially independent. Was it because I suddenly got lucky? No, it was because I had a target to aim for, and that target motivated me to develop the skills, habits, and mindset necessary to hit it. The importance of financial literacy. Let's talk specifically about an area where most people need significant personal development, financial literacy. One of the most important aspects of working on yourself is learning how to manage money. Most schools don't teach financial literacy, so you must educate yourself. Learn the language of money. Understand assets and liabilities. Master the principles of saving and investing. Develop the discipline to live below your means so you can invest the difference. I'm often asked, Jim, how much should I save? And my answer is always the same, as much as you possibly can. Start with 10% of your income, then gradually increase it. Your financial freedom is directly tied to your saving rate. But don't just save money, invest it wisely. Make your money work for you. The rich have their money work harder than they do. The poor work harder than their money. I remember when I started my first investment account. I had very little to invest, just $25 a month. But I was consistent. Month after month, year after year, that money grew. Not just because of compound interest, but because as I worked on myself, my income increased, allowing me to invest more. Within 10 years, that small habit had created substantial wealth. Not because I was smarter than anyone else, but because I understood a simple principle: success is not about luck, it's about strategy and consistency. Developing communication skills. Another critical area of personal development is communication. Your ability to express ideas clearly and persuasively will determine much of your success in life. Most people think communication is about talking, but the most powerful communicators are often the best listeners. They ask thoughtful questions. They seek to understand before being understood. They connect with people on an emotional level, not just an intellectual one. I've watched countless careers take off when someone focused on improving their communication skills. Why? Because ideas are the currency of the 21st century, and those who can articulate them effectively will always be in demand. When I was starting my speaking career, I was terrible. My first presentation was a disaster. I stumbled over my words, lost my train of thought, and nearly passed out from nervousness. But instead of giving up, I decided to work on myself. I joined Toastmasters. I recorded myself speaking and analyzed every word. I studied great speakers and emulated their techniques. It took years of practice, but eventually my communication skills became one of my greatest assets. Companies began paying me thousands of dollars to speak, not because I was born with talent, but because I developed it through consistent effort and practice. This is the beauty of personal development. You can transform your weaknesses into strengths through dedicated effort. But you must be willing to face those weaknesses honestly and work on them relentlessly. The philosophy of contribution. As you work on yourself, it's essential to develop a philosophy of contribution. Success without contribution leads to emptiness. True fulfillment comes from making a difference in the lives of others. The marketplace rewards value, and the greatest value comes from serving others. The more people you serve, the more success you'll attract. It's a universal law. I learned this lesson early in my career. When I shifted my focus from what I could get to what I could give, everything changed. My business grew, my relationships deepened, and my sense of purpose expanded. This doesn't mean you should work for free or neglect your own needs. It means you should always ask, how can I add more value? How can I serve more people? How can my work make a positive difference? When you develop a contribution mindset, you stop chasing success because success starts chasing you. People naturally want to do business with those who add value to their lives. They naturally recommend those who exceed expectations. They naturally support those who support others. The power of positive self-talk. Another crucial aspect of working on yourself is developing positive self-talk. The conversation you have with yourself is the most important conversation in your life. It shapes your beliefs, which shape your actions, which shape your results. Most people don't realize how much their internal dialogue affects their external reality. They let negative thoughts run unchecked, creating limiting beliefs that hold them back from achieving their potential. Learning to control your self-talk is like learning to program your own subconscious. It's about replacing phrases like "I can't" with "how can I?" It's about switching from "that's impossible" to "let me figure this out." It's about transforming "I'm not good enough" into "I'm getting better every day." This isn't about deluding yourself with false positivity. It's about challenging your limiting beliefs and expanding what you think is possible. It's about giving yourself permission to grow and succeed. I remember working with a young entrepreneur who had tremendous potential but was paralyzed by self-doubt. His negative self-talk was sabotaging his efforts before he even began. We worked together to identify these patterns and replace them with more empowering alternatives. Within 6 months, his business had doubled in size. The market hadn't changed. His products hadn't changed. What changed was his self-talk, which changed his beliefs, which changed his actions, which changed his results. That's the power of working on yourself first. When you transform your thinking, you transform your life. The habit of continuous learning. In today's rapidly changing world, continuous learning isn't optional, it's essential. The person who stops learning stops growing, and the person who stops growing starts dying. Make it a habit to feed your mind just as you feed your body. Read books, listen to podcasts, attend seminars, take courses. Become a student of life and success. The investment will pay dividends far beyond what you can imagine. I often recommend what I call the 5-year plan. Imagine where you want to be in 5 years. Then ask yourself what books you need to read, what skills you need to develop, what relationships you need to build to get there. Then create a learning plan and execute it relentlessly. When I look back at my own journey, I can trace every significant breakthrough to a book one read, a seminar I attended, or a relationship I developed. None of my success happened by accident. It was all the result of deliberate self-education and personal growth. The beautiful thing about learning is that nobody can take it away from you. Once you develop a skill or gain knowledge, it's yours forever. It becomes part of who you are, part of the value you bring to the marketplace. Emotional intelligence, the hidden success factor. One often overlooked aspect of personal development is emotional intelligence, the ability to understand and manage your emotions and effectively navigate social interactions and relationships. In many cases, emotional intelligence matters more than IQ when it comes to success. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't connect with others emotionally, your impact will be limited. Developing emotional intelligence involves several key components: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Each of these can be cultivated through practice and reflection. I've seen brilliant people fail because they couldn't manage their emotions. I've seen average intellects succeed beyond expectations because they excelled at understanding and connecting with others. The difference wasn't talent or opportunity, it was emotional intelligence. Working on yourself means developing all aspects of your character, not just your technical skills or knowledge. It means becoming more patient, more compassionate, more resilient. It means learning to navigate conflicts, to inspire others, to build trust. These soft skills often create the hardest results. They're what transform a good career into a great one, a functional team into an exceptional one, a struggling relationship into a thriving one. The courage to face your weaknesses. One of the most challenging aspects of personal development is having the courage to face your weaknesses. It's easy to work on areas where you already excel. It's much harder to confront your limitations. But true growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone. It happens when you're willing to look in the mirror and acknowledge what needs improvement. I remember working with a client who was exceptionally talented in many areas but had a serious problem with time management. He was chronically late, missed deadlines, and frustrated everyone around him. When I suggested that he focus on this area, his initial reaction was defensiveness. "That's just how I am," he said. "I'm creative, and creative people aren't good with schedules." This was a convenient story he told himself to avoid addressing a weakness. Eventually, he gathered the courage to face this limitation. He read books on time management, worked with a coach, and developed systems to keep himself accountable. It wasn't easy. He had decades of bad habits to overcome, but gradually he transformed this weakness into a strength. Within a year, his income had increased by 40%. Why? Because he became more reliable, more productive, and more respectful of others' time. He attracted better clients and bigger opportunities. Success started chasing him because he had the courage to work on himself first. The compound effect of small improvements. As you embark on this journey of personal development, remember the power of small, consistent improvements. Success isn't about making dramatic changes overnight. It's about making small changes every day that compound over time. If you improve just 1% each day, you'll be 37 times better at the end of a year. That's the miracle of compound growth. It's hardly noticeable in the short term, but transformative in the long term. This is why patience and persistence are such vital virtues in personal development. You won't see dramatic results immediately. You might read a book and not notice any change. You might practice a skill and still feel awkward. You might adopt a new habit and struggle to maintain it. But if you stay consistent, these small efforts will eventually create massive results. Just like water can carve through rock with persistent pressure over time, your consistent efforts will eventually break through any obstacle. I often tell the story of the Chinese bamboo tree, which shows little or no growth for 4 years after being planted. Then in the 5th year, it suddenly shoots up 90 feet in just 5 weeks. Did it grow 90 feet in 5 weeks, or did it grow 90 feet in 5 years? The answer is obvious. The growth was happening underground, developing a root system strong enough to support its eventual height. Your personal development works the same way. You might not see visible results for months or even years, but beneath the surface, you're building a foundation for extraordinary success. And when that success comes, it will seem sudden to outside observers, even though you know it was the result of consistent effort over time. The role of mentors in personal development. As you work on yourself, seek out mentors who can guide your development. A good mentor can help you avoid common pitfalls, accelerate your learning, and see possibilities you might miss on your own. Mentors come in many forms. They can be direct, one-on-one relationships with people who are further along the path you're traveling. They can be authors whose books change your thinking. They can be speakers whose messages resonate with you. They can even be historical figures whose lives and philosophies offer valuable lessons. The key is to be teachable. Check your ego at the door and be willing to learn from those who have achieved what you aspire to achieve. I've had many mentors throughout my life, both in person and through books. Each one shaped my thinking in important ways. They helped me see opportunities I was blind to. They challenged my limiting beliefs. They held me accountable to higher standards than I might have set for myself. One of my early mentors told me something I'll never forget. He said, "Jim, you can learn from my experience, or you can learn from your own. Learning from mine is less painful and more efficient. That simple insight saved me years of struggle and thousands of dollars in mistakes." This is why I often say that good advice is never expensive, it's priceless. The right mentor can completely change the trajectory of your life and career. The importance of health and energy. As you focus on personal development, don't neglect the foundation of all success, your health and energy. You can have the best skills, the most brilliant ideas, the strongest network, but without physical and mental energy to execute, none of it matters. Your body is the vehicle that carries your dreams. Treat it with respect. Develop habits that enhance your energy rather than deplete it. Proper nutrition, regular exercise, adequate sleep, stress management, these aren't just health concerns, they're success strategies. I learned this lesson the hard way. In my early career, I was so focused on achievement that I neglected my health. I worked long hours, ate poorly, skipped exercise, and got insufficient sleep. I thought I was being productive, but in reality, I was undermining my own success. Eventually, my body sent me a clear message that this approach wasn't sustainable. I had to redesign my lifestyle to prioritize health and energy. When I did, something amazing happened. I accomplished more in less time. My thinking was clearer, my creativity was stronger, my resilience was greater. This is why working on yourself means working on all aspects of yourself, mind, body, and spirit. They're interconnected systems, each influencing the others. The practice of gratitude. Another powerful element of personal development is cultivating gratitude. Gratitude transforms your perspective from scarcity to abundance, from what's missing to what's present, from what's wrong, what's right. Make it a daily practice to acknowledge what you're grateful for. Start each morning by listing 3 things you appreciate. End each day by reflecting on what went well. Train your mind to look for the positive, and you'll find more of it in your life. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good practice, it's a success strategy. It reduces stress, improves relationships, enhances decision-making, and creates a positive mindset that attracts opportunities. I remember talking with a businessman who was constantly stressed and dissatisfied despite his considerable success. His focus was always on what was wrong, what was missing, what needed fixing. This negative focus was making him miserable and limiting his creativity. I suggested he try a simple gratitude practice. Each morning before checking email or news, write down 3 things he was grateful for in his business. At first he was skeptical, but he agreed to try it. 3 months later, he told me this simple practice had completely transformed his experience of work. He was happier, more energetic, and more creative. His team noticed the difference and responded positively. And surprisingly, his business results improved as well. He was making better decisions because he was operating from abundance rather than scarcity. This is the hidden power of gratitude. It doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how you think, how you act, and ultimately what you attract into your life. The courage to take action. All the personal development in the world means nothing without action. Knowledge without action is merely philosophy. It's interesting but not transformative. The most successful people aren't necessarily the most knowledgeable, they're the most action-oriented. They learn something and immediately apply it. They don't wait for perfect conditions or complete knowledge. They start with what they have, where they are. This requires courage, the courage to step into uncertainty, to risk failure, to be imperfect. Most people are paralyzed by fear of failure or rejection. They wait for guarantees that never come. Meanwhile, opportunities pass them by. Working on yourself means developing the courage to take action despite fear. It means embracing failure as a teacher rather than avoiding it as an enemy. It means understanding that mistakes are the price of education, and that experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. I often tell my students, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. This is the essence of working on yourself first. You don't change your circumstances by complaining about them. You change them by becoming the person who can handle them. The ultimate investment. In closing, let me emphasize this fundamental truth. The most important investment you will ever make is in yourself. No financial investment, no business venture, no relationship will yield greater returns than your investment in personal development. When you work on yourself first, success will chase you. It's not a matter of if, but when. The marketplace always rewards value, and your value is directly tied to your personal growth. So make this commitment today. Dedicate yourself to lifelong learning and growth. Read books that challenge your thinking. Attend seminars that expand your skills. Associate with people who elevate your standards. Develop habits that enhance your productivity. Cultivate qualities that strengthen your character. Do this consistently day after day, year after year, and watch as your life transforms. You won't have to chase success, it will chase you. You won't have to search for opportunities, they will search for you. You won't have to beg for recognition, it will be freely given. This is the profound wisdom I've learned over decades of studying success. For things to change, you must change. For things to get better, you must get better. For things to improve, you must improve. When you improve, everything improves for you. Make that your philosophy, and success will chase you for the rest of your life. Thank you.